Okay, it's like ridiculous. Okay, I'm John the Other, obviously. And I want to know, can we have an adult, nuanced conversation, like an intelligent conversation like with grown-ups? Is that allowed still? I don't know. I'm going to try. We're trying that now. We'll see if somebody kicks in my door and kills me. That'll happen later after I finish recording this. Clearly, if you have an interaction with the police because they arrest you or they question you or chase you down or whatever, put you in handcuffs and take you to jail, that should not carry the risk that they incidentally kill you along the way. Also, like if the police get called on a mental illness intervention, like somebody's having a suicidal episode, that should also not carry the risk that you end up being killed by them. Like, we're going to go stop this guy from killing himself. In order to do that, we're going to kill him for his own protection. Now, obviously, the George Floyd issue is still hot on everybody's minds. And it seems that the answer, the understanding that we are all supposed to come to, is that it was racism. It's just racism. That's the one dimension. Like, we're going to reduce this, quite a complex issue, down to one simple factor. The thing is, if you try to look at this with a more nuanced eye, you tend to get shouted down. You get shouted down verbally, or you get shouted down in that online format of people will pile on and start calling you a racist, and they'll try to contact your employer and have you fired and have you made not a person anymore. And that's ugly. In fact, if you participate in that, you should be verbally bitch slapped at the very least. I don't know how to talk about this without everybody freaking out, but it does need to be talked about. I'm going to say it. If you look at child psychology, there is a factor which predicts a whole bunch of negative outcomes in later life for people who have this factor. Homelessness, a higher incidence of homelessness, long-term poverty, repeated interactions with the criminal justice system, mental illness, drug addiction, and a bunch of other negative outcomes. And the factor predicting these negative outcomes in later life is fatherlessness. You will find that at least as recently as 2005, 39% of American black children, are raised in single-parent families, meaning raised without a father. So all these negative outcomes, some of which end with a police interaction where the person dies at the hands of the police, I guess we're not willing to look at the causal factors. We're going to look at what causes fatherlessness. Are we going to just pretend that black people are they're explosive? The families explode. The father is thrown in one direction, the mother in the other. There must be rules of qualification to get financial or social assistance from state and federal agencies, right? Of course, there are rules of qualification. Do any of these rules include a requirement that one or both parents be absent, or that there be nobody working within the family? So nobody's employed. So you have a mother who's a stay-at-home, the father maybe has a job, the mother stays at home. We get the father out of the family, and now you qualify for social assistance. Are we not? I guess we're not allowed to ask these questions, because then you have a law that actually financially incentivizes removing the father from the family. We're not going to be able to look at creating a social welfare program that is designed to create a dependent population base so that you can corral voters. Nobody wants to have that conversation. I guess that's too complicated. It requires looking at, people are motivated by incentives, and whatever you subsidize, you get more of. No, that's too complicated. Squash it all down to one variable. It's just racism. One variable. That's simple, because when it's only one thing, it's simple. It's a one-word answer: racism or white supremacy. That's two words. then you get to say, well, I'm not that. Therefore, those other people are that bad thing. I get to be virtuous and good, and I get to hate those people, and I get to be outraged, which is a very attractive and addictive drug. So I get to keep my fix of my outrage drug. I get to be virtuous, I get to point at the bad people, and I get to also make sure that these negative outcomes continue to happen generation through generation, so that I can continue to point at the bad people and get my outrage drug fix. And all it costs is continued poverty and negative outcomes for the people I supposedly care about, while I pretend to be virtuous. But I guess we're not ready to have that conversation. Now look at me, I'm so virtuous. I pointed at the bad people and I shouted the word racist. Thanks very much for watching, and have a lovely day.